It's mic'd up with Mikie Mahtook. Got the boys in. I got Lloyd. We got J. Mitch. We got Jackie Boyd.
He tried to jump up and he might have knocked it in.
Good timing. Let's go. What a start to the Monday. I mean, I'm from Lafayette. My boys will come in and say,
oh, God.
So me and Joe on the ground. I got Joe in the headlock. And he's sitting there, he's punching me in the stomach, like, punching me.
Here, is everyone sitting around? Who here thinks Chico can practice today after having 5 full beers? And he goes, Chad Jones, right? Chad's been with the team 6 minutes. For 7 minutes, right? Chad's like, no, man, I don't think Chico can practice today. And I was like, I look back, I'm like, Jesus Christ. I saw you there. You were more fucked up than me.
On the spirit plane had some issues, I think. She was sleep farting.
you heard her or you just thought it was her?
I sat right next to her and I smelled it.
Whoa. What was that?
Time for the show.
I never want to eat
Wow.
You had a circus or something.
I'm late. Like, I don't even know what I'd be doing.
Now, when you do go to spring training, are you going to bring your chinchilla and your turtle? My dad tell you about it?
The SEC is, God, they hate fat people. I mean, I get crushed for that. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man.
Hey, just the South, bro. You got a bunch of food down here. Like they should.
Players, look at Lloyd.
You know what, Lloyd?
You're looking for a recruiting coordinator, coach. I'm here.
He's like, I'll piss my pants right now.
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, I'll piss my pants right now. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Mic'd Up. Today is Wednesday, October 18th. We have a beautiful Wednesday night to have some nice conversation about sports. A lot of things going on in the sports world. There is no football. Well, I think there probably is football somewhere.
There is.
Today, I know that I think there was the tweet was, I think two Tuesdays ago was the last Tuesday you're going to not have football until the end of football season. So there is football. If you're a gambling man, I'm sure you know who's playing. Maybe it's some action. I don't know. It's probably a smaller team. But the conversation that I do want to have today is about baseball, about LSU football.
FIU Sam Houston.
Huh?
FIU Sam Houston.
FIU Sam
You wanna
Houston,
hop on
not in
that?
action. We're going to have some Saints conversation. Fletcher Mackel is on the show at 6:45 to talk Saints. I know everybody's not very happy about with the Saints. They kind of stink right now. Offensively, especially defensively, I think they've been doing fine. They play on Thursday night, exactly what you need when you're struggling offensively. After a bad offensive game on Sunday, let's have a quick weekend let's play on Thursday. Maybe that'll help them. Who knows? We're going to ask Fletcher those questions. You know, sometimes these Thursday night games go one of two ways. Trevor Lawrence doesn't look like I don't say it doesn't look like he's going to play. It's up in the air.
It's not 100%.
Trending towards not.
Trending towards not playing. Demario Davis, also, they don't know what's going on with him. Seems like he's a game-time decision, has never missed a game due to injury. This Thursday night game may knock him out. Who knows? If I had to bet, I'd bet that he's going to be in the lineup. We're going to ask Fletcher all these questions. Army comes to town this Saturday. They play in Baton Rouge, obviously, at 6:30. It is the first time Army is coming to play LSU in Tiger Stadium since like 1931, which is pretty cool. You know, obviously we have a lot going on around the world that the military and our armed forces are a part of. So it's going to be fun to to be able to recognize these guys here in Baton Rouge. You know, obviously the flyover is going to be pretty awesome. But, you know, we're going to talk about a little bit about that game, but more about what LSU has done, what they have continued to do defensively to get better since the second half of Missouri. And we're going to throw out some numbers and talk about why we think they've gotten better and what they've done to make them better. I think part of that is they simplified the defense a little bit. They found some homes for some of their star players, and so they kind of understand what they're supposed to do conceptually on the defensive side. Staying on the college football conversation. Are you going to get this?
I think so.
You all right?
Good.
Staying on the college football conversation. I lost my train of thought. Jayden Daniels, midseason second team All American. Everybody's like, "Wow, why isn't he first team?" Well, I think he probably should be first team, but there's only one quarterback on these All American teams on each team. I'd imagine Michael Penix Jr. is the number one guy on the first team. This is midseason, doesn't mean anything. It just means that halfway through the year they've been playing very well. Malik Nabers is first team All American. LSU has probably the best receiving duo between Malik Nabers, Brian Thomas.
Kyron
in the
Lacey.
country. Huh?
Kyron Lacey.
Kyron Lacey's now emerging as maybe a number 3 guy as long as he keeps catching footballs and not dropping them. No Harold Perkins. I don't think Harold Perkins has earned that right yet. I think he's trending that way now. I think he's kind of found a home as interception. He's getting sacks. He's making big differences in the game. I think by the end of the year, his numbers are going to look like what you wanted them to look like when the season started. You know, Will Campbell has been a stud. He was not included on this. I think that's going to change as the season goes on as well. So we're going to get into that. Women's basketball top 25 came out. First time in the history of LSU that LSU women's basketball is ranked first, preseason number 1 in the country.
Can Wilkie good hire?
Huh?
Can Wilkie good hire or no?
She a good coach? No.
I've seen worse.
Good. I mean, she brought Lil Wayne to the PMAC in November 15th.
I've seen worse.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Lil Wayne's coming to Baton Rouge on November 15th because he is friends with Kim Mulkey. Not just coming because he's from Louisiana and he likes LSU. No. He is from Louisiana and he does like LSU, but he's coming because he is friends with Kim Mulkey, who is also friends with Michael Jordan, who she's also friends with Vanessa Bryant. She is also friends with anybody that you could probably imagine she is friends with, and you're not friends with those people unless you are very good at what you do and you're very successful and you're respected around the country. So I think she was a pretty good hire. I think she's proven that she was a pretty good hire, and I think that she's going to continue to win games here in Baton Rouge. Why are you giggling over there?
People are going to start to hate LSU women's basketball if it hasn't
They already
happened
do,
already.
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
They already do.
that started last year, right?
Yeah, but now with the addition of, you have the number 1 player in the country, Michaela Williams, coming in as a freshman. You have, obviously, the addition of Haley Van Lith. It just feels like a lot of people are going to be like, this isn't fair. LSU's paying all these players.
Well,
Look at their NIL.
they're already starting to do that. And, obviously you look at, the big, you have Dawn Staley, South Carolina. She's from Philly, throwing out the first pitch for the Phillies games. She's obviously doing that. She's doing great things over there at South Carolina. I think it seems like Kim Mulkey and the Tigers are starting to surpass her. And I know South Carolina fans aren't going to like that. And that's
Recruiting
okay.
The number 1 player in the country again, who is out of South Carolina, had her in for a visit. I believe,
Yeah.
For the
Look, listen, LSU brand's about as big as it gets right now. And Kim Mulkey is the perfect person for that. Same thing as Jay Johnson on the baseball side. Jay Johnson just landed another recruit, 2025 infielder, who, if you looked at the recruiting picture that he had of LSU in the uniform when he was on his visit, didn't look like he was a big guy. It looked like he was kind of small, and I was like, is this guy, who is this? Then
the numbers.
you look at who he really is, then he's realized, he's supposed to be 2026, reclassified apparently to 2025, and you realize, he's 6'5", 215 pounds as an infielder. Pretty good.
That's like the young infielder.
He's a young infielder. Going to be hard to get him to campus. The fact that he reclassified may make it a little bit easier, but it also may make it tougher depending on how well he does over the summer circuit, because now he is more attractive to major league teams because he is younger. So now they're going to get a kid that instead of being 18, he is going to be 17, so it's a year younger, and we all know how Major League Baseball loves young guys and loves the ages and loves being able to develop these guys for a while. So, we'll see what happens there, but it's nice to be able to have these guys sign or commit now. And so Jay is doing things that we all anticipated him doing and expected him to do. It is also Wednesday. It's also Ask Mikey and Mitch Day. So we have some questions that you put on to you asked us on Twitter, or X. You asked us on X. Please put some questions in the chat. Ask away. We're going to answer questions throughout the course of the show. And then towards the end of the show, Fletcher's obviously coming on at 6:45. We know how that goes. So sometimes that may last 15, that may last 30 minutes. Depends on how fired up he gets about the Saints, which I like because I get fired up about the Saints. I'm teetering on the side of I don't give a shit anymore.
Welcome.
Which I don't like that because I love New Orleans and I love the Saints. But thank God the division stinks again, which everybody predicted it. The season started. 3 2-0 teams in the division to start the season. That has quickly changed, right? You have a 3-3 team. I think the Falcons are 3-3, and the Bucks are 4-2. So, not great, not the best, not how you draw it up, but
I just don't know why people thought that was Derek Carr was your answer. I don't see really the difference between.
I'm not blaming on Derek Carr. I don't think it's Derek Carr.
Me either.
I think it's Pete Carmichael's the problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You didn't address the real issue. It's not like that he didn't have a quarterback.
Oh, he didn't.
Well, you saw what Jameis can do on any functional level of if you can throw 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions.
I don't know. Jameis didn't play great when Sean was there. Jameis didn't play great when Sean was there.
They coached some of the dog out of him because we don't need 30 interceptions. But I'm saying anybody that can become a 5,000-yard passer and throw for 30 touchdowns.
He's got the ability to do it, for sure.
You kind of neutered him a little bit whenever you saw the Pete Carmichael offense. That's all I'm saying. And the way that they use Taysom Hill is disgusting. Just a lot of things.
The red zone, they're incompetent in the red zone.
When you have a 6'3".
That's half the league right now, though.
No doubt. Listen, and that's a good point.
Yeah.
If you look around the league, defenses feel like they have started to catch up a little bit to the offenses. Right? For a while, it was an offensive league. The rules are made for it to be an offensive league. Seems like the defenses are starting to figure out, okay, now we kind of know how to stop or contain some of these offenses. You're also starting to see offenses run the football a whole hell of a lot more. It's a cyclical thing, people. Like it is. Hey, we're going to throw it, and now we're going to run it. Now we're going to throw it, now we're going to run it because teams start to adjust. Now you got to adapt. Same thing happens in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
We're not going to run. Rules change. Now we want to run.
I think you're gonna start finding those offensive coordinators and those offensive minds that are like really good and really innovative and really creative kind of start to stick out above the rest again. Because just like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago when it was run, unless you were really good at the run or you had a really good old coordinator, like you weren't running it in. And then now that kind of thing is flipped around with the new age offense and the league's a copycat league. Interesting right now.
It is very interesting.
And the way that teams are built, especially defensively, it almost is if you can run it while
that's
because
the thing,
everybody
that's part of the whole equation, right?
Exactly. So offenses they're ahead of the defenses. The defenses realized, okay, they're going to put out 1 million wide receivers and throw the ball 75 times a game. We're going to need more guys in the secondary to cover these guys. Okay, so let's do that. Now you figure that out, and here's another thing, you're having some of these top-tier quarterbacks retire, right? So now you have these guys who no matter what's going on are going to be able to throw. Now they're gone. Now you have a younger generation of quarterbacks that are trying to figure it out along with some of these other offensive coordinators. And so now the defenses are staffed and personnel-wise are equipped to handle all of this passing game, but not so much equipped to handle a heavy dose of the running game. Now you get some defenses like the Saints have done a pretty good job of both. The Jets do a pretty good job of both. The Niners, same thing. But for the most part, some of these teams are getting run on a lot more than normal.
I think it's
let's say normal, the last few years.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I think it's all too. I'll take the tush push play, right? Like that's taking the league by storm. Everybody wants to do it right now.
Except the Cowboys stink at it.
Except the Cowboys stink at it. Well, the Cowboys are not very good at it. But
lot of teams
nobody
aren't
at the
very
same
good at
time. Nobody at the same time is still doing it at the clip of the Eagles. Like the Eagles are still head and heels above everyone, and they're pretty much always successful.
And that's part of the quarterback too, right? I think even if they did do the tush push, I think
that's fine too. But
okay.
my point to it is it's a copycat league, right? Everyone sees them doing it. They say, oh, well, we can do it too. Well, they don't all have a quarterback who can squat 500 pounds.
Right.
They don't all have the shortest center in the league who can get under anybody and everybody, right? So like those little things where everybody's like, oh, let's jump on this train and let's do this play, but you're not equipped how they're equipped to do it. And so I think that's kind of the thing around the league right now, or in the red zone, especially when there's not much space and there's not much room. Everybody's seeing, well, this play works. Let's run this play. Well, you're not necessarily equipped like that other team to run that play that way. And that's kind of how I think this thing's going.
Well, I think that's a good point. It's a great segue into my next conversation is personnel and understanding the types of athletes you have and the types of guys you have on defense plays into the type of defense you probably need to run and the type of defense you're going to be, right? And I think LSU for the first few weeks of the season did not really know who they were defensively. They didn't know, they had athletes and they had the ability to compete defensively, but they didn't know, okay, how do we do this? Like, how do we structure this? We know our secondary is a little light. We're not sure about our linebackers. We know we have one who's super talented, but we don't really know how to use him yet. And we know our defensive line has a lot of depth and talent. Well,
and
no coach. Figured out, okay, we probably need a coach there. That's probably important. Let's put one of those guys who understands how to teach these guys how to, use their hands and stuff.
Where to line up.
Get away, where to line up. Hey, let's get on the line of scrimmage. And so then you do that. That helps. So now you kind of have an idea of, okay, this is what we're going to be. Then you realize, we're maybe not great at man coverage right now, so we're going to play more zone. Then we realize, well, maybe we need to put 4 down linemen instead of 3 because that's the one position that we know we have a lot of and we can rotate guys in and out, and they're really good. And so by doing that, you found a position for your star linebacker who was kind of positionless. And now you have him as the Sam linebacker, and you allow him to do things that he's comfortable doing. And you've seen from the second half of the Missouri game through the Auburn game. Now, offenses are a little different, but you still have to go and make tackles. You still have to understand where you're at. I think you saw a completely different player from half to half in Harold Perkins. And I think that's part of the defense understanding who they are now and starting to get better. And you're going to start seeing that throughout the course of the season. Now, this weekend you play Army. Army is a triple option team, but it's the modern day triple option. It's not the, hey, we're going to be under center and everybody's going to chop. Can't do that anymore. So they're not going to run that. What they're going to do is, hey, you're going to be out the shotgun. You're going to do these things. But we're going to run the ball 90% of the time. We're going to only have 77 passing attempts through the year right now. But the fact that they're able to run like that and the fact that they run that type of offense, you are going to need your linebackers to understand where they need to be. And I think the fact that you've had Spates is healthy, Harold Perkins kind of feels more comfortable. Whit Weeks has been playing really well. Now you have Greg Penn. It seems like your linebackers are now starting to be a position where, okay, we kind of feel comfortable with those guys.
Somebody needs to find Keith Accardo this weekend because he might.
Well, he's in South Dakota hunting with all the
he
big
might
dogs.
Try to sneak in a uniform by Saturday because this is a linebacker's dream right here.
Especially the ones that work out.
If the D-line is starting to play, if the D-line is starting to play a little bit better and get hands on people, linebackers can run freely and they're not throwing the ball. This is literally what they dream of right here. And I think you're going to see a lot of guys flying around, but make no mistake about it, when you're playing the triple option and that's what you got to do, it is the biggest alignment and assignment football that there is out there. It doesn't
Can't be a hero. No hero ball.
Can't be a hero. And LSU couldn't be playing them at a better time in their season, honestly. I think if they played them game 3, they might run for 250 on LSU.
LSU might have lost.
I don't really think that would happen, but they might run for 250 on them. Playing them now after they kind of have a little bit of identity going, guys are starting to figure out who they are, what's being asked of them, and guys are kind of getting away from that, let me try to make every play roll. This is a great time for them to understand, hey, if we can stop this and we do this right, all right, now how do we play this into the rest of our season? They couldn't be playing them at a better time than that.
No doubt. And then you got an off week after, right? So you have some time to prepare for the Bama game, which is in 2 weeks after this. And so I'm with you. I mean, I think that this is another game that they can improve on, right? It's another game that's going to challenge them in a different way than they've been challenged between Ole Miss and Missouri. And so, yeah, I think you're right. I think it couldn't come at a better time. I think that the guys are going to be able to build a little bit more confidence going into that off week and then leading into the Alabama game, because no matter what happens, Alabama can be 5 wide, throw for 600 yards a game. It's going to be a physical game every time LSU Alabama plays.
Well, and that's the perfect example, too. Like, think about it. You're playing Army this week, who literally wants to play a different version of, but it's smash mouth football. Like, make no mistake about it, right? They want to ram it down your throat the whole time, and they want to play football, and they want to just kind of play this game right at you and in between the numbers, in between the hashes, and they'll keep going this way. Well, you play them this week. It's a physical game. You insert yourself in this. You get a week off, and then guess what? You're going to play one of the most physical teams there is in the country after that. So,
and for a chance to basically put yourself in the driver's seat of the SEC West. Now, you need Ole Miss to lose.
Yeah, they got to drop one year soon.
Well, they haven't played.
Oh, I know, but it's funny to see LSU playing the brand of football that they are, where it's, okay, this team is who we kind of thought they might have been coming into the year, where it's, yeah, this team could win the West, but you already dropped one, and now you need a little, just a smidge.
She's someone to win.
Just a little bit of help from Ole Miss, as opposed to what you did last year, wherever you were.
I think
lost to Florida State, then kind of took control of your own destiny.
Yeah, I think anybody would be, and no, make no mistake about it. This is a talented team this year, right? But I think anybody would be shocked at the end of this year when we look up at the end of 12 games and Ole Miss ran the table and they are the team that makes it out of the SEC West.
Well, they already have. They have one loss.
Yeah, but not. They have. Is it
the tiebreaker? Or they would have the tiebreaker.
Right, but my point is they played Georgia.
Yeah.
Which I know they don't have Brock Bowers, but you'd imagine that Georgia would beat them.
They're in the East.
Yeah, but still SEC lost.
Yeah, it's an SEC altogether.
Oh, it doesn't matter if it's a East or West game? Okay.
No. It's just SEC. So you have that. You have to play.
And LSU doesn't have 2 SEC losses anyway, and they already have 1, so it really wouldn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
And so they lost to Bama. You beat Bama. Now you have it's a win percentage thing at that point.
Yeah.
If the tiebreakers don't really come into play.
Yeah.
So you have everything that you need. You have to beat Bama. We're not want to look towards Bama. We want to look towards
respect the troops.
Awesome flyover going to have. I know that.
They didn't
Flyover's got to be nasty.
They didn't have one this weekend, so imagine they're saving up for.
I love what they did with the end zones too. By the way, if anyone hadn't seen that, I'm a big fan of that.
I don't know if that was supposed to get out yet.
I mean, it did.
Well, one team, one pod. Let
I know, because then they tweeted again. They're like, "Oh, we didn't know that." Yeah, they're like, "Oops, didn't know."
They got in trouble.
They got somebody obviously reached out and was like, "That was not for." They're
That
probably
wasn't for public consumption.
Yeah, they were probably going to put out like a video and do,
You fucked it up. You Adam Schefter them.
Yep, you should assault.
Well, if you got it out there on Wednesday, it's probably not going to be held too tightly.
Yeah, but I just knowing how LSU operates and like working with like the field staff or whatever, they're probably going to have like them painting the end zones, put out like a little hype video, something of that nature.
They still could do that.
They still can do it. It's just not going to be a surprise.
Yeah, they did a hustle up Twitter post. And
how about the hype video LSU football posted with our boy giving the speech?
Frank?
Yeah.
Frank's
Pretty
good
solid.
at those.
Pretty solid. He likes the drama, huh?
He does.
He's a very dramatic.
He like narrated it himself. It was
delivery
like a movie
of that
script.
speech.
Yeah, you could have put some of that in post-production.
I felt like I was in like Remember the Titans type like hit
Friday
type
Night
speech.
Lights.
Very dramatic and cinematic.
Did his own sound effects.
Yeah, that's good.
It was
he
awesome.
He understood the moment, and he understood that there's probably cameras around. This is my time to shine, baby. And he did it. He's been doing a really good job, obviously.
He's got all the Louisiana boys around him because it used to just be the running backs whenever he was first year. Now it's everybody that he kind of – it feels like that he brought back to Louisiana because it used to just be all about the ball. And, like, we're, like, protecting the football. He's like, you protect the ball. You take away the ball because he's got DBs over there too. So he's speaking to the whole crowd.
That's right. Speaking of DBs, not going to see much of them, I would imagine, this weekend.
Have to tackle.
Have
They
to
tackle
tackle.
dummies
They did that
all
really.
week.
They did that really well last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They had a chance for an interception,
Should have been, yeah.
and he missed it.
It's just a drop.
It's okay. Happens. It was kind of falling backwards. Didn't feel like they were getting beat. Now there's a couple plays where, listen, the ball over the middle with Major Burns and the tight end. That's not Major Burns' fault. The tight end's bigger than him. Quarterback, I think it was Ashford threw the ball. It was put it in a perfect spot for the tight end. Great throw, it was just great play. Sometimes
you're
that
not
happens.
gonna be perfect. And
Sometimes that happens.
it was good defense. I would say the most impressive thing was, and how it'll impact this game. People have been kind of shitting on Omar Speights a little bit because they wanted to see Weeks so badly. You can tell that he makes a massive difference in how quickly they get aligned because it's him and Greg Penn where they're putting people in the right spot.
And he's been
He's
hurt.
healthy.
You know, he's healthy now. He
That was
looks
his
good.
best game as an LSU
For sure, and I think
Tiger.
that game fit
Yeah.
his personality as a linebacker. They ran the ball really well, or they tried to run the ball really well, and so I think that he's going to have more opportunities to have more tackles that way. Same thing this weekend.
Yeah.
Good to see him build on it.
Absolutely.
Kind of get some steam going, get some momentum going, and kind of roll that through the rest of the season here because, like we talked about, he did start a little slow, got a little banged up, and some people were able to come in and play behind him. See where this thing goes for him.
Also helps that the offensive line's playing the way they need to play. Everybody expected them to play. They are on the midseason.
Joe Moore.
But what are they? It wasn't like the midseason. It's like the watch list, but they called it like president's list or something. Didn't they have a weird name for it? I think maybe I could have been reading it wrong, but they're on the midseason Joe Moore Award watch list, which goes to the best offensive line group in the country. I think this is how everybody anticipated the offensive line.
The honor roll.
The honor roll, that's what it is.
Oh, and Will Campbell just said that's just a Twitter post. It won't be there at the end of the year.
That's what he said?
Uh-huh.
Love that. And he's been playing. I mean, he's the anchor of that. He's been playing extremely well. Obviously, Emory Jones is hurt. Doesn't seem like it's going to be for an extended period of time. You just put in another 5-star right there, right tackle, which helps. So offensive line, I think, has been a big reason why the offense has taken that next jump to elite level. Jayden Daniels.
And this feels like
Listen, Jayden does this thing this weekend. They go and they beat Bama. Jaden's number one in the Heisman contention, no doubt.
No doubt.
Right? I think he's getting the short end of the stick right now because LSU does have 2 losses, and so they're trying to make it into, you're not going to be in the championship. You're not going to go get the Heisman Trophy. I don't agree with that. I think he has the best numbers in the country.
I think
As a quarterback.
I think it's more of LSU hasn't had that. You haven't seen him since Florida State from a national perspective. And you've had other people have bigger games. You have Michael Penix. Obviously, he's number one right now because of the performance against Bo Nix. If Bo Nix wins, it's probably flipped, where you have Bo Nix number one on the Heisman conversation. It'll all come to fruition for Alabama. So if you're an LSU fan, take it right now while it's at plus 1,400 because that thing could shift dramatically if you want Jayden Daniels to be in New York or win it.
Staying in the SEC, football news. Rumor out of College Station is that Texas A&M, the powers that be, the powers that have all the money,
Pockets are itching.
yeah, getting a little heavy.
Burn a hole in this thing.
They are ready to empty some of those pockets if Jimbo does not turn it around. They are willing to buy him out, and that buyout is pretty hefty.
If you think Coach O was happy when he went to the crib and still got paid,
Coach O got the 17.
it's like
Jimbo says, "Hey, you know what? I can buy a house in
this is
Malibu.
like 5 Coach O's.
I can go. Hey, Nick, I saw that house you bought in Miami. I think I'm gonna go buy one right next to you, Coach. You can afford that,
And I'm gonna fix it up.
and then I'm gonna keep my other house somewhere else that I want to have too. $77 million would be the buyout.
The neighborhood, they say.
In the neighborhood of the head coach.
Yeah.
Now, when you buy out the head coach, his assistants also have some buyouts. So they're gone, which would be even more money. Probably about $100 million, I would imagine, give or take.
To ask you to not coach.
To not coach. And they're ready. They are ready to just, you get money, you get money, you get money. Leave here. Please, kind sir.
Scott Woodward strikes again.
And Scott Woodward said, I'm just going to
Let me go out the back door.
scare you out of there.
Whoops.
And I'm going to go hire more coaches, and I'm going to go win. And then y'all can deal with this.
And it is a cautionary tale a little bit if you're watching LSU closely, because I don't say it got to that territory where people wanted to fire Brian Kelly after Fry
That's
and
aggressive.
fire. Hey, don't put it past anything at LSU.
Spooky season.
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, he's kind of locked into a similar deal with Brian Kelly at LSU. So if you want to point and laugh, just know that
Be
you have a
careful.
10-year deal with Brian Kelly as well. Scott Woodward makes these deals with the devil.
I think that
But I think it's off to
Brian
a better
Kelly's
start
had a better start.
and more proven.
Yeah.
Well, Jimbo has the one natty,
Yep.
but outside of that,
Yeah. He also had a Heisman Trophy quarterback.
right? People tend to
Brian
forget.
Kelly has done that with no Heisman Trophy quarterbacks.
I'll
Technically, no
push back
quarterbacks
on
at all.
that. I'll push back
Oh,
on
okay,
that
you can.
because Jimbo's quarterback tree is
Great.
firm.
Absolutely.
It's firm, and
Absolutely.
I think he's done a good job when it comes to that. So.
Absolutely. But look, Wegman got hurt. That hurts him a lot because that was his guy. After Jameis left, though, the quarterbacks that he had weren't great after Jameis. So, like,
said E.J. Manuel, Christian Ponder, Jameis, that he's all put into the
And
league
then
and
that
be
was it.
first-round picks.
and that
Why
was
don't you
it.
go back before that?
Yeah, right. Then you had Jamarcus. You had
Oh, yeah.
Matt Flynn. You had all these guys, which is great. I'm not denying that fact. That I just after the fact when he moved and left Florida State, just didn't really have. He hasn't
like-
gotten this guy, and I thought Wegman was probably going to be that guy. It's unfortunate that he got hurt, but
Feels like he's just kind of, for somebody that had a very revolutionary offense, it felt like it, especially at LSU, where he was one of the few guys throwing it almost like over 30 times a game and changed his scheme depending on who they were playing. It feels like he's kind of almost gotten antiquated, where you watch Texas A&M play
Well, I
and
think
there's
his
nothing that
offense-
scares you.
his offense is very much predicated on the quarterback understanding what he's trying to do and understanding the concepts. And I think that's why he's able to develop that quarterback into being that guy. And I think he finally had that guy in Wegman. But
I mean, Max Johnson understands offense. His dad was in the league.
yeah, but Max Johnson always is doing the same things right now at A&M that people didn't like that he did here at LSU. Holding the ball too long, doesn't feel like he can fit it in tight windows, and just tough, gritty, gonna make sure that he's always getting up, but just something's a little missing a little bit, and I feel like that's kind of what he's going through right now at A&M. Would you not agree? Anybody?
Yeah, I just don't think they're putting him in a position to succeed. It's a lot of the play calls are very pro style.
I mean, I haven't watched it enough.
Yeah, I haven't watched him play this year, so take what I'm saying in a grain of salt in this situation. But knowing what I know of Jimbo and his history, he's very, very, very much geared towards a pro style offense. I do think the pro style, if you will, has kind of become a little bit archaic, which is why I think he brought in what's his name that he brought in this year to be the OC, Petrino, to be the OC. So I think that was a little bit of a move to kind of, I guess, move his offensive ways and thoughts and ideals and principles forward. How much that's actually happening, I don't know, because I haven't watched him play a ton this year. But I do think that watching them play over the past couple of years, the times that I have, it seemed like that's been his downfall, is not pushing his offensive ideals forward as much as kind of the rest of the league has a little bit.
Yeah, and this is all predicated off of the Bruce Feldman report that just came out, The Athletic, about 6 hours ago via X, Twitter. Despite a roster loaded with 5-star recruits, Texas A&M has now lost 8 consecutive road games and has 3-9 in its last 12 versus Power 5 opponents. It's year 6 of the Jimbo regime, and it feels like if they want to, A&M has now started the powers that be to collect $76.8 million and be interested in a possible buyout. Do you think he cares?
I mean, he
Yeah, he
cares.
does. I mean,
it's
I mean, let's
be honest. A man at that level that's done what he's done, that's been where he's been, yeah, he cares.
He's got enough money right now. Now, $78 million. Look, he cares, and he doesn't want this to happen. It would hurt. $78 million definitely eases some of the pain a little bit, but at the end of the day, he's a competitor. He's a professional at what he does, and he doesn't want to lose his job. Like that's.
I'm just saying, for 6 years, it's been, they want to fire me, they want to fire me. Fine, do it. Give me $76 million. You won't have to hear from me again because I don't think he'll get another gig in college
time
football.
out. Why would you think he won't get another gig? A head coaching gig.
It would take a couple of years, I would imagine,
Where?
if you even wanted to.
Where? Like at all? Or are you saying like in the SEC? Or?
Yeah, like a big-time coaching. Just because of how this has played out. I mean, obviously he wouldn't get the same contract. So if he wanted to take
Coach,
money,
respectfully, like Les left here and went to Kansas. I'm not saying Kansas is great, but that's
what-
definitely not a mid-major. It's a big school, so you got another national championship winning coach. I think there's definitely teams where he could fall, easily teams where he could fall. That's not top flight, but it's definitely not mid-tier. I think he would be somewhere right in the middle of that.
And look, maybe the buyout has stipulations, like Les's did. If you buy out, or like O's did. I'll buy you out. You get the money until you get a new job, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's also part of it, too. I don't know what the buyout looks like, but, A&M's in a predicament. Jimbo in a predicament, but he's going to be financially fine. I don't think it's about the money for him. I think it's about everything else. But, we'll see. We spent more time talking about Texas A&M than I would like on this show. We had the Moffitt Method Monday, and Tommy Moffitt basically said it couldn't have happened to a better school that this is going through. So, obviously he doesn't like A&M very much. There's a lot of things that go back.
A&M does some very not likable things. So.
Very, very much so. But we shall see. We shall see. In other news, not football news, got a big baseball game tonight, boys. You got Game 3 of the ALCS.
2-0 lead.
2-0 lead for the Texas Rangers. Max Scherzer on the mound again tonight. Or not again. Back on the mound tonight after about 2 months of not pitching. I would imagine he's going to be pretty beamed up and pretty both of his eyes are going to be different color eyes. Are going to be very freaky.
Don't expect much blinking.
And he is going to be out there, and he's going to probably be throwing, feel it pretty nice. Now, the worry, he hasn't pitched in a while. He's super amped up, maybe a little erratic.
I say, where's the command and where's the feel at tonight?
Yep. The Rangers are favored. They're playing at home in Arlington. If they win this, they're up 3-0. Then the Astros are going to have to win the next 4. Only one team has ever done that, and that was 2003 Boston Red Sox against the New York Yankees in the ALCS.
That seemed to be a topic of conversation between Derek Jeter and.
How do we feel about that whole group?
I don't really watch the pregame.
Me either. That's a problem.
Wait, time out. Before how we feel about that group, when it goes back to Scherzer, I do feel like when you watch him throw tonight, he doesn't have a high. They're reporting that it's going to be a pretty low pitch count. But I would imagine unless he is literally scathing through with some pretty clean innings where he's not having a lot of runners on, I would imagine it's probably a good chance he won't get to that pitch count simply because, just like you said, they lose tonight, they go down 3-0. Not many teams have come back from that.
Right.
So I would imagine unless he's getting through some 1, 2, 3 innings, even if he's throwing a lot of pitches, you may not see him get to that pitch.
They don't want to get behind.
Don't want to play from behind tonight.
Right. Houston's desperate. Obviously, they've been to 7 straight. They've won some World Series. They've been to the World Series a few times. They're not just going to go down easy. Yeah. It's going to be a fun game. Obviously, it's same state. Yeah. So you have a big rivalry between Houston and Dallas and the whole deal. So it should be fun. But
go back to it. Yes.
Yeah, because
let's visit that again.
We've talked about this a lot. You look at all the football pre-games shows. Game day in college football, everybody loves watching it. They've made some adjustments. They've made it more fun, a little bit more modern. Fox, NFL Countdown. People all tune into it. CBS Countdown. People tune into it. NFL Network, Good Morning Football, or whatever the NFL Network's pregame show is. People watch that too. to me, they've just – now football's a little bit different. Baseball's a little more regional. But when you get to this playoffs and the national stage, you got to make it to where it's fun for everybody to watch. And you've got to make it to where it's like people want to tune in. And I don't know how you do that. It's personalities. I think Derek Jeter on there was a good addition. I think he's going to get better as he goes. I think he's fine.
He's fine. I just would like to see him give a little more of his actual personality. I've heard a lot of stories about Jeter.
Me too.
He's not like a wild man, but like I'd like to see him open up and let that kind of go a little more.
Well, the Derek Jeter documentary you saw, he's funny. He's a little sarcastic. Like, do that. And I think he'll warm up to start doing that. A-Rod's obviously A-Rod. He doesn't ever come off genuine to me. I'm not saying he's not genuine. He doesn't come off that way. And Big Papi is just a loose cannon.
Yes.
He might be drunk the whole time.
You don't know what he's going to say or how he's going to say it, but it's just whatever. And then you got
definitely not sober.
To me, Jimmy Rollins is probably one of the better ones.
Yeah.
After I saw him spike Frank Thomas's water bottle, he had that Tito's on.
You feel like that's like sitting under there the whole time.
100%. Big Papi's just going to have a good time.
But
give some to Jeter. Loosen him up.
Big game tonight.
Who you got? Just because everything you laid out in my mind.
You're going the Astros.
Yeah, it'd be tough to see them get down 3-0. I know they're playing at the Rangers Stadium but it just feels like a weird spot for Scherzer, somebody that you'd want to see have an extended outing. But if he can go and, I don't know, deal for 5 innings, maybe it's a perfect spot for him. But he's such a wild card, not having pitched in a long time, even though I know he loves big games. But it feels like you can't fake desperate in these situations for a baseball team that has aspirations to win a World Series.
Agree, but now the Rangers lineup has been
banging.
Fire.
Yeah, and they're talented up top to bottom, but I think that bottom half of that order has been playing extremely well. Evan Carter, he didn't play last game, but came up in September and has been one of the better hitters in the lineup. Like, they have guys top to bottom that have been raking. You know, outside of their superstars and, you know, Garcia and Seager and Simeon and those guys, like, they bang. Now, Astros, they also bang. Now, they haven't up to now, but they swing the shit out of it. I mean, Alvarez is good. Good.
It's sneaky, man, because I feel like, especially when you watch him over the last couple of years, not just this year, but like he should be up there with in top 3 hitters in baseball right now.
And I think
not just power hitters, like hitters.
I think people overlook him.
That's my point. Like it's for some reason it's been sneaky. He doesn't get the top superstar love like you would think he should get on that team because of how successful they've been in the past. I guess maybe because he kind of came in the middle of it, if you will, a little bit. He doesn't get that, and he doesn't get that national love, I think, the way he should. But, man, the dude is unbelievable, bro. He can absolutely smash.
He can. And he's done. I mean, he has, 5 home runs this postseason? You know, obviously the Phillies are kind of the only other team I feel like to have a guy. They may have 3 guys now with Schwarber. Hit 2 more yesterday.
Best leadoff hitter ever.
Hit that one.
Most prototypical leadoff hitter of all time.
Trey Turner's got a few.
Oh, he had the cool slide.
Harper's got like 4 or 5. Yeah. Castellanos, I think, has 5.
Got a few.
Like,
Stott's got a couple.
They have 19 home runs as a team in the postseason. That's a lot. Maybe 20 now.
They're going to use them all?
Undefeated at home.
Undefeated at home. Boy, that home crowd's something, huh?
I'm going Rangers tonight, though. I think the Rangers won a close one. I don't think the Astros will get swept, but I'm not sure this thing goes past 5. I'm just not. The Rangers are playing really good baseball.
You know what? I'm going to stay with you. I'm going to go Rangers as well. I think they win this. I think they take care of business. Yeah. I think Scherzer does well enough to where he's solid through 4 and then puts them in a position to win.
And they'll be able to.
What we got going on?
Piece together whatever else they need.
Yeah, they'll be. I mean, look. End of the day, Astros know this is a big game for them, so they're going to go out there and do everything they can do to win this game. They're going to put together some really good at-bats, I'd imagine. They're going to try to make Scherzer work. And I think those first few innings are going to be key to what happens in the game.
The Astros are as professional as it gets, man. Like, that's 7 straight ALCSs is nothing to sneeze at. Yep. It's no joke. It's it's impressive. And they're kind of doing they're like on the LeBron tour, but like as a team, because they pretty much have the same core dudes there that they've had throughout this entire time, right?
No doubt.
But so like you said, I expect them to show up and it be a very, very, very tightly contested ball game. I just feel like it may go the other way. Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
He's a finalist for the Gold Glove, which that's a whole other topic, and we don't have time to get into that. Why the hell do Major League Baseball have the awards and like nobody knows the awards are going on? Like they don't make it a show or
another marketing swing and miss.
No idea. I don't ever know when they do the voting for the for Rawlings until Rawlings starts popping up on my Twitter feed. Like,
and it's not
they
even,
won the Gold Glove.
Yeah, it's the announcement of the winner, not this is. Like, I was shocked to see that they even have 3 finalists. I don't even know how they did the award. I thought it just showed up at your doorstep.
It's mind-blowing to me because it's like they have these huge TV deals everywhere. So everybody's making money already, right? And then on top of that, man, you got 81 games at home every year. If you can halfway fill the stands, you're probably going to make a good amount of money as well, too. I'm not exactly sure where that is. But somewhere in their minds, they think they're like the game is like being pushed so far ahead, and they're missing out on so many opportunities to grow that game the way it should. Because these are, let's be honest, if you did it right, baseball is on TV and should be on TV more than anything else because you play the most amount of games.
Right.
They should be taking advantage of all of those opportunities to be able to highlight these players, to be able to highlight these situations, and they can't figure that. They're last to the party at all of that every year. It's crazy to me. I don't really get it.
I don't either. And it's frustrating to me. It's something I wish that they can change, but hopefully they do it. I don't know. Let's switch gears before Fletcher comes on. I don't know if he's in there yet. I doubt that he's in there right this second.
Well, no, just real quick on baseball. Like, you can see how much it's earning potential it should have for the fanfare, at least, because whenever the playoffs comes around, you see everybody kind of buy back in, but I don't know if it's the length of the season where it's like you're kind of checked out. You can't keep up with 162. Fantasy baseball seems like a nightmare.
Well, and it's too exhausting to have that buy-in every game for 162.
Right, but you see, it's just such an interesting dynamic because of whenever the playoffs start, everybody's all in. Like, look at the Phillies bank. Like, that thing is hopping. Look at Arizona, like hopping in the pool. Like, all of these things, when the stakes get high, nobody's more interested in than the casual fan becomes an elite fan. It's just a very interesting dynamic.
Now, fans like to see passion,
right? Stakes.
And what?
Stakes, like high stakes.
Yeah, high stakes, but like you can't as a player you can play with passion all year and like play hard, but the passion that the fans are going to show and the meaningful games, like it's just too exhausting to do that.
You can't duplicate that during the season. Let's be honest too. Like, as a fan, if
Tuesday night game against the Oakland Athletics, like
doesn't even matter. They could bring the Yankees in, and you're sitting here telling yourself like, hey, they're here for 3 days. I'll go catch them on the last day out. I don't need to show up on Monday. I can catch them on Wednesday.
Right.
I don't need to show up with that much because
I got work.
They'll be back here next month. I don't really need to worry about it that much.
It's game 50.
Yeah.
They got 110 left.
Tickets are $2.
So like there's reasons why I get that, but. The postseason shows kind of highlights of baseball. I think every year people are like, oh, baseball. The postseason comes like, oh,
baseball.
That's fun. Okay, I can do that.
In my veins.
Get some ball back in and the whole deal. And like baseball hasn't done themselves any favors with the lockouts and a lot of the drama that goes on behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff. So there's a bunch of reasons for it. I'm just glad that it's highlighted right now. But like I said, switching gears to going back to football a little bit. Fletcher's coming on here in a few minutes to talk Saints. Obviously the Saints play tomorrow. Thursday night football games are always a little tricky. Usually one team comes out and plays really well, and usually the other team comes out flat, and it's not very good. It's a lopsided game. This game is going to be a little interesting. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is going to play. I don't know if Demario Davis is going to play. I don't know if our offense is going to play. They may just not show up and say, you know what? Defense, you score all the points. We're not going to do it. The Jets have figured that out. The Jets said, hey, defense, go win games, right? It's hard to do that, but it seems like that's where we're at.
Just thinking of this, hell of a month or a hell of a 4-week stretch for Jacksonville, huh? That's the short end of the stick. You fly across the pond for 2 weeks straight. You're there.
Did they stay there for 2 weeks?
Yeah.
They were
Yeah,
there 2 weeks
I
straight.
figured that.
You come back home. I'm not sure they were at home or on the road
You
last
think they
week.
came back with an accent?
Maybe.
Propensity for fish and chips. Like, this is fire.
Maybe.
But they said when Baltimore went over there, they went over there early. As whenever they played the Titans, they went over there on Monday.
Well, because the Titans, they turned around and did the 2 weeks after, I think, right?
That I'm not sure of. I know that they.
I think they were the second team that
has to
Jacksonville
do-
played there.
Yeah.
So,
and so I think I just know that they went there late. The Ravens went there early and got there on Monday, and Lamar was like shocked that people knew who he was in London. He's like, "This is kind of fun. Like, I get to go out.
There's
like,
gonna be a team there.
yeah,
There's gonna be an
that's
NFL
what
team.
they're easing it into you.
But like I said, Jacksonville, you spend 2 weeks there, you come back, and then now you got a Thursday night game thrown in that same 4-month stretch. That's tough.
I mean,
That's
Saints don't figure it out offensively, and they stink. Maybe the Saints are gonna be the London Saints.
God, good.
I don't know.
Take
I'm just
'em.
joking. That's not gonna happen. All right, let's get to Fletcher. He's gonna have everything that we need to talk about New Orleans Saints. We are not very confident
gonna
in the
have to
Saints.
relocate to London.
The Boondock Saints.
Yes.
You know, maybe the London Boondock Saints. Who knows? Fletcher, thank you for being on the show. As always, please talk some senses, or just be the truth teller and just tell us not to get our hopes up with New Orleans. Are they ever going to fix the offense?
I mean, probably not, right? I mean, kind of you are what you are at a certain point. And so 6 weeks in, I mean, Derek Carr's in year 10. Do they flip the switch? I mean, I just don't know if that's how it works. So I certainly hope they can sprinkle some magic fairy dust on this thing, and Carr can figure out, you know, a synergy with the receivers. Olave and these young guys will go hard on every play. Pete Carmichael will come up with something creative, but like if they haven't done it in 6 weeks, at a certain point, I know it's a cliche, but you are what you are at a certain point. And so I am concerned about Thursday night. Now, I'll say this. After Thursday night, I mean, they've got the Colts who are going to be with the backup quarterback. They've got the terrible Bears, even with Justin Fields, and they may be with a rookie undrafted quarterback. And then you've got struggling Minnesota. I mean, the Saints' schedule, it was terrible at the beginning of the year, and it's even worse now. So they've got to start stacking some wins. And I heard y'all talking as I was waiting. Just so you know, Jacksonville, back-to-back games in London, played at home last week. They requested to not have a bye because they didn't want the bye this early in the season. So they got a home game and now a Thursday night game. So, I mean, talk about a brutal month.
Right.
2 in London, at home, and then a short week. I mean, that's a gauntlet that the Jags are running right now.
Which kind of makes me scared because it feels like they're just going to show up Thursday Night Football, and you know, usually the way Thursday Night Football happens, one team is sharp and the other team is not, and it's a boring game for one side. Once it's a blowout, and it just ends up being one of those types of things. It feels like the New Orleans Saints are teetering, especially offensively, on a collapse, right? Like losing the locker room. You see Derek Carr coming off the field yelling at Pete Carmichael. Pete Carmichael is going through his post-game interviews, and it doesn't feel like he's very confident. Any answer that he's giving feels like he's kind of talking in circles. How close are we to seeing this thing either imploding or them making a serious change at offensive coordinator?
Yeah, and look, that's a great question. It's one that I got a lot last year when the Saints were struggling. People would go, Dennis Allen's lost the locker room, right? It's like, no, he actually hasn't, because the defense was playing well and the defensive leadership believes in him. And there was never a point at any time last year, even when they benched Jameis, you know, even the offensive guys knew watching the film, Jameis ain't getting it done. And they were more into Andy. But I think that's a great question, and it's a good way you put it, Mikey, is we're teetering on the brink, so to say, of these guys are smart, and they're all veteran players. Carr's a veteran, Thomas is a veteran, Kamara's a veteran, the O-line are veterans. They got a couple of young receivers in Olave and Shaheed, but these guys are going to start, you know, they say now it's the players, it's not the play caller. But at a certain point, that dial is going to start to move. Because they're not, like, Carr's not going to say, bench me, I'm trash. Kamara's not going to say, you know what, guys, it's me. You know, like, that's not going to happen. The needle is going to start to move, and Pete is going to be the guy that the pitchforks start to kind of point more in his direction. They're already pointed in his direction, but the veteran players have talked people away from that. But I do think if this doesn't fix itself very, very soon, then, yeah, Pete Carmichael may be scapegoated into a change mid-season. But the problem is this. I like Ronald Curry a lot. I mean, look, I grew up in an era when Ronald Curry was the next Michael Jordan, the two-sport star, a stud in high school as a quarterback and as a basketball player, and then at North Carolina. He's a really good coach. I'm surprised he hasn't become a coordinator yet. But I don't know if he does something so much different that it invigorates the Saints. I mean, is he going to be like what they implemented in the offseason training camp and through what will be 7 games this year? Does he have has he been sitting on some plays in meetings just waiting to unveil them? And I don't know if that's the case.
Fletch, we're at this point in the season, we saw the episode that happened with Derek Carr and Pete Carmichael on the sideline. We know the talent that's in the building, especially on the offensive side.
You see the reaction with Jameson Kamara on the sideline.
You see the reaction with Jameson Kamara. Like, you know about Derek Carr's injury and where he is. In your heart of all hearts, like, where do you see this thing? Is Carr not that healthy? Is the synergy not that good? Is the play calling? Because it just seems like they're not on the same page, but then you don't know if they're healthy. In your heart of all hearts, like, where do you really think this thing is right now?
Okay, so one, let me just say, that sofa you were sitting on is awesome. Like, that purple
plush.
Like,
do you know how bad I've been wanting to just lay down on this thing and just go ahead and take me a nice little nap?
I mean, like that purple velour Chesterfield looks awesome. I need to have it for my office, just FYI.
All right, we can get you one.
But to answer your question, this is hard for me to say because 2 years ago I did a commentary when Drew Brees retired, saying that the Saints should trade for Derek Carr. Because there were rumors that Gruden wanted to move on, and I thought this is a guy that needs a change of scenery. He's the guy that can kind of stabilize this team offensively. And now I'm starting to believe, after watching it, that Derek Carr may be Aaron Brooks. Like, look, a talented guy that could just never go from good to great. Derek Carr can make all the throws. He says all the right things. He knows what he's doing. High IQ football player. He's likable. He's accountable. All of those things. I covered Aaron Brooks here in the early 2000s. The dude could spin it. He won the first playoff game for the Saints, but he could just never shift from good to great. And that's my biggest concern right now, is that the Saints invested $150 million in a guy that they thought it was the Raiders organization was screwed up and dysfunctional, and our stability and playmakers will allow him to go from good to great. We see the Drew Brees blueprint in him. And unfortunately, I'm starting to come to the realization that maybe Derek Carr is not a bad quarterback, but is just never going to be a top 10 quarterback in this league. And that will make the Saints a very average football team. 8-9, 9-8, nothing special. And they are doomed to be in perpetual mediocrity for the next couple of years.
I'd heard you mention that the sword could fall on DA as the head coach because somebody's head is going to have to roll at some point. But is there a world where it might just be Pete Carmichael? Because I feel like that's the most obvious instance in which somebody should have to go when you evaluate this team, because the Saints defense is still really, really good, and that's been Dennis Allen's calling card. So you would hate to lose that just because your offense isn't making any noise. Is there a world where he gets another year? Now you have a little bit of stability with Carr back for a second year, but you need to find an offensive coordinator. That's where that's where the blame in my mind should lay, is at the feet of Pete Carmichael, because these press conferences, Fletcher, it's almost sad. It's borderline sad.
So, Lloyd, great question. Also, too, I love coming on because this is I could talk about this all day, and I love,
Thank you.
So here's the thing. Pete Carmichael's a wonderful guy, But the reason why he's never gotten a head coaching job is because you look at these press conferences, he's not head coach-like, so to say. Like, he's not the guy that commands, I think, Sharif.
Sharif!
Look at Sharif.
Hey, yo, Sharif!
He's got takes too.
So Pete Carmichael there's certain people, you know, like in politics, are they presidential? Do they come across as the leader of a country? Like head coaches, and you all played at the highest level, are they the type of people that command, you know, at the highest levels, and that you want to like listen to these people and follow these people? And Pete is not that guy. Pete is the introverted guy, and that's why I think people on paper go, what about Pete Carmichael? And then in interviews, you're like, not that guy. Yeah. He's not the head coach. But that being said, I do think, to answer your question, look, Sean Payton was here, and he burned through some defensive coordinators. Gary Gibbs and Greg Williams, and then Rob Ryan. And then it wasn't until Dennis came back after his stint with the Raiders as head coach that they stabilized and found a real defensive coordinator and leader that had staying power. Steve Spagnuolo was here for a year. People forget about that. Yeah. 1 year and gone. So the offense with Peyton and Breeze, I mean, Breeze threw for 5,000 yards in 2008, and the defense was one of the worst in NFL history. So I do think there's a world where this defense is good. The defensive players love and know Dennis is good, and they don't make a change this year, and then they blow out the whole offensive staff in the offseason, and they make them the scapegoats for all the failures, and they say, we're gonna hire an entirely new offensive staff for Carr and Kamara and all these guys, and that's the hope they sell and the vision they sell if they fall short. Or even look, the NFC South is the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Some mediocre team is going to win this division. They may be the one-eyed man, but I don't think they're going far in the NFC. So I do think there's a world where they don't change the play caller this year, and at the end of the year, they just bomb it all, and Dennis Allen brings in an entirely new offensive staff where DA survives, the defense stays intact, and they can't do anything with Carr. He's their guy because of the contract they gave him, and they try to reinvent it that way.
And one more, this is more of a pie-in-the-sky scenario because, like I said, I love what Dennis Allen is doing on defense, and if he does get fired, he's going to get scooped up as a defensive coordinator somewhere, and it's going to be immediately in the next year. Would he consider stepping down at some point and stay on the Saints staff as a defensive coordinator? Damn. And they bring in because he's going to get a job.
Damn, you like firing people before they get fired.
No, he's going to get one of them's going.
No, not a chance.
Because you're just losing such a good DC.
Sure, he's great. He's an amazing, just like Spagnuolo. People forget, Spagnuolo was a great defensive coordinator, got a chance with the Rams, terrible head coach. He's never been a head coach again, but he's an awesome defensive coordinator. I mean, look, the Chiefs, he's won Super Bowls with them. So, again, I think there's certain people, and look, Dennis may just be a great coordinator. He may not be a head coach, but I don't think he goes this year, and there's zero chance that he would step down and take a secondary role. He'll tell the Saints, pay me the final year, maybe sit out a year, and then he'll be a very in-demand, just like Jim Schwartz. Jim Schwartz failed as a head coach with the Lions. He's an awesome defensive coordinator. But there's no world in which last year we talked about this because there were rumblings and grumblings of Peyton coming back. And I know they had conversations with him about bringing him back. And I was told point blank from a lot of people over there that I trust that DA wouldn't have stepped down for Sean Payton. It would have been fire me and pay me if you really want to bring Sean back or can get Sean back. But those conversations never really went anywhere with Sean. And so no, there's no world that Dennis relinquishes being the head coach and says, you know what, I'm going to be an awesome coordinator instead of a mediocre head coach.
With all that said, right, all the negativity and all the stuff happening, the Saints come after a stretch of not very good offense all season. You had a one game against New England who's struggling in their own right. They won 34-0. You're like, oh, maybe you figured it out. Not so much. You come back and you play a Thursday night football game against Jacksonville, who may or may not have Trevor Lawrence. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is going to play. You may have a better idea about that. But you play them on Thursday night football. What do the Saints – like, what should we expect? Can we see something different, or do you can maybe – being on short rest and having to simplify things, maybe it makes it better and you just let them go out there and play? Do the Saints have an opportunity to go out this Thursday and say, okay, We're going to go win this game. We're going to be 4-3. We're a game back out of our conference, leading our division, and we still have most of our division games left. Is that a reasonable expectation tomorrow?
So here's how important this game is. Sharif and I were digging into the numbers. Teams that start 3-3, going back to 1970 with the merger.
Wow.
If those teams move to 4-3, they make the playoffs 50% of the time. The team that is 3-4 makes the playoffs 18% of the time.
Wow.
So to me, this is a real crucial game for the Saints. And also, given the fact that the rest of their schedule is so bad. I mean, the Falcons are terrible. They have them twice. Like I said, Indianapolis isn't very good. You get Chicago, who's not very good. Minnesota, who I think is better than their record, but no Justin Jefferson. I mean, you've got some bad teams you still get to face. The Giants are bad. You get the Giants coming up. I mean, to me, the Saints win this game, they could rattle off a massive winning streak because you look at their schedule and you go, boy, if they win on Thursday, they should beat the Colts. They should beat the Bears. They should beat Minnesota. And then you come home and you've got the Falcons. I mean, we could be talking about a team that I'm saying perpetual mediocrity to talking about a 5-game winning streak and now being one of the top teams in the NFC just because those other teams have to play, the Niners and the Eagles and the Cowboys, and the Lions, who I think are probably the most complete team.
Yep.
Maybe the Niners are the most complete team, but those teams are all going to eat each other up. The Saints, because of their weak strength of schedule, may have a chance to ascend. The only really, after tomorrow night, the only game I look at and go, man, oh man, that's going to be a grind, is Detroit in December. Other than, the Rams, there's no team I look at that says the Saints shouldn't be able to put something together. But then again, that's the infuriating thing.
Yeah.
You see against trash teams like the Patriots and against Carolina and against Tennessee. I mean, the Saints' wins are against pretty bad teams. 0-6 Carolina, 1-5 New England, 2-4 Tennessee. I need to see them do it, and then I'll believe, because they've just been so, mind-blowing, brain-breaking, inconsistent. But I do think there's a path to 5 or 6 wins coming up here. But to think they're going to do it, there's no reason to think they're going to do it until they do it.
I'm right there with you. I think we could all sit here and say when the season started or before the season started, when you looked at the schedule and you saw how outrageously easy, if you will, it's still the NFL, but how outrageously easy the schedule looked. I don't think any of us looked at the schedule and said, yeah, that's a 14-win team right there because of what they have going on. You just knew that there would be some ugly parts in it, but you're so right about this. Had some ugly wins, had some ugly losses, been real inconsistent kind of in the middle. But here goes another stretch of very young and inexperienced quarterbacks where there's a chance you could start ripping off some wins, and they may not be very impressive wins. We could start ripping off some wins, and it could start literally tomorrow night on a team where I find it hard to believe that there's a lot left in that gas tank after the month that Jacksonville just had.
Without potentially their starting quarterback. So this could be the start of what is a run for the Saints, because believe it or not, when you watch an NFL season, a lot of these teams go on more runs than you think they do as well.
So look, at 2017, the Saints started out 0-2, and that was coming off three bad seasons. Yep. That was the kind of the black hole of the Sean Payton era. 14, 15, 16, they went 7-9. They made a lot of front office changes. They brought on Jeff Ireland. They made some coaching changes. And in 17, they opened up 0-2. They went to Minnesota and got bombed. Then they played the Patriots at home. Then they won 2 games, and it was against softer teams. Miami, when they brought Jay Cutler out of retirement, a bad Carolina team. And you're kind of like, okay, who are they? But then the schedule softened up, and they won 8 straight games. And it's one of those things where I'm not trying to tell everybody that's what's going to happen. But that's what happened. Kamara came alive. Lattimore came alive. This team was rejuvenated on that 8-game stretch. But when you go back and look at it, you're like, you know what? They played like Washington when Washington wasn't very good. That was like the Falcons' decline. They were that was Tampa with Jameis when they were really bad. And so they beat some bad teams, but nobody cares. They rattled up 8 straight wins and won the division and had a really nice year, and that kind of jump-started them for 2018. So, like I said, just to be fair, do I think it's going to happen? I don't know, but it could. I mean, look, Jacksonville has a quarterback on a bum knee and has run the gauntlet. And then, like we said, you look at the upcoming schedule, a 5-game winning streak, and all of a sudden being 5-3 in another month from now is not out of the realm of possibility.
You talked about Jacksonville having a bum quarterback, a quarterback with a bum knee, not a bum quarterback. Not a bum quarterback. He's actually a very good quarterback with a bum knee. Demario Davis has never missed a game in his career due to injury. He's on the injury report. Is he going to play? This is going to be my last Saints question. Then we're going to talk about something I know you've been itching to talk about a long time. Basketball season's right around the corner, so I want to ask some couple questions about that. But is Demario Davis going to play, not going to play? I think that's obviously a big, guy that you want to have, especially when your offense is struggling.
Yeah, I mean, look, Davis missed 1 game because of COVID, and that was that crazy Miami game when the Saints dealt with that whole, what was it, like Delta variant spike or Omicron. It was Delta was in the summer, Omicron was like in Christmas, and they had 21 starters out, and so that's the only game he's looked. The guy's a warrior of warriors. If he can play, he is. But the fact that he hasn't practiced and Dennis Allen said he's a game-time decision, it doesn't look good. And it's a massive loss. The bigger loss for the Saints is on the O-line.
Yeah.
Their 2 starting tackles aren't playing, and their top backup isn't playing. I mean, they are decimated right now on the offensive line. I mean, they're gonna probably start a guy at right tackle, Cameron Irving, who they signed to the practice squad 2 weeks ago at right tackle. So, and then Trevor Penning, who got benched, is now going to be your starting left tackle. So, offensive line, to me, even though DeMario is a concern, the O-line, to me, is a massive concern. So we'll see, how it shakes out. Again, I just don't know what to think about this Saints team. When Breeze was here, we kind of had a bigger body of work. Derek Carr, we don't have a big body of work. I don't know if they can put it together and rattle off wins. I don't know, what this team is capable of. It's kind of like the great unknown right now because we haven't seen it. I can convince myself either way that they are just a lost, rudderless ship offensively with a quarterback who's and an offensive coordinator who's out the door, and it's never going to get better. Or I can convince myself that they just needed the first month of the season to find the synergy, and they're about to kick it into gear, and everybody's going to be talking about, they'll be dumping on the media, see, you all overreact to everything. And so I don't know which way it's going to go, but I do think we're nearing a terminal velocity of who and what this offense is, and we're going to know pretty soon.
Hey, look, you never know. Derek Carr has done it in Las Vegas with the Raiders. They were abysmal for a long time in the season, and all of a sudden they start winning games and they go on a run, and they ends up like, wow, this second half of the season they look pretty good. So hopefully that is the case this year. Hopefully that's the case. It starts tomorrow. Obviously Thursday Night Football. I will be watching that. The greatest thing that they have done on YouTube TV is being able to watch the baseball games and the football games. But Thursday Night Football, you can't do it, and that is – I don't love that because it's on Amazon Prime. That's but annoying. I'll be watching both. I have 2 TVs set up. Before I let you go, it's almost Pell season. All right, it's starting. You see preseason. You watch Zion. He seems like he's being Zion until he's not, until he doesn't play. What is the feel right now in New Orleans for the Pels? And they have that young core group, and they feel like they showed so much promise, and they haven't had Zion on the court. He's healthy. Expectations out through the roof.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing. The expectations last year, people really believed because they got into the playoffs, without Zion in Willie Green's first year when they traded for C.J. McCollum. And then it was supposed to be last year we're getting Zion back. And then for the first, quarter of the season until January 2nd, they were one of the 2 best teams or the 3 best teams with Denver and Memphis in the Western Conference. But just like always, injuries derailed this team. Zion is truly a one-of-one talent, that he's not just a perennial all-star. If he could ever stay in shape and healthy, he is Jokic, Embiid, Giannis, Luka-like. He is a perennial MVP candidate. Not a perennial all-star. He would be a perennial MVP, but he averages 29 games during an 82-game season in his 4 years. So staying in shape and focused and healthy, the track record says he can't do it. I keep betting that I don't know if he's going to stay in shape for 7 straight years, but 1 year he's got to stay in shape, and they're going to have a breakthrough year. Maybe it's this year, but the West, the Suns are loaded. It's insane how good they are. Yep. Denver is awesome. Memphis is really good. The Kings are really good. The West is just a beast. And so, again, if they stay healthy, even with the limited three-point shooting that they have, I still think Zion is so good. B.I. is such a mid-range assassin, and C.J. is such a pro's pro that is a good enough team. Core with the young players that they have. I've covered a lot of Pelicans basketball. I started working here when the NBA moved back here, and I always joke with people that some people find religion in their life. I didn't play basketball, but I found the NBA, and I have been all in covering it since 2002. I have covered some really bad NBA teams here. This is not one. This team has a ton of talent and a ton of depth and a really good coach and really good executives. If they could just stay healthy, they would be good. But I just don't know if they can. But I'm going to continue to say, if they do, they're a top 4 team in the West.
I hope so, because I love basketball, and I love when the Pels are good at basketball, because when they did make that run in the playoffs and they took the Suns to the brink, that was pretty exciting. So I hope you're right. I hope he stays healthy. Hope he's in shape. And because I'd like to have you on, because you seem very passionate about it. I love that, and I want to talk all Pels after the Saints season. But we'll talk all Pels after that. So, Fletch, I appreciate you as always. Thanks for coming on here. Thanks for telling us the truth, for being honest. Hopefully Thursday it's a nice game and we can all enjoy our weekend with the Saints victory. So I appreciate you.
That's true. And also, too, just so you know, a lot of the guys in my over 35 baseball league watch this, and they want me to also pass along to you two. I know y'all aren't there yet, but when you get there, that we need to recruit you all to it's going to be like the Ringers showing up to take over the league. So,
okay.
When y'all are knocking on the door in a few years at that 35 mark, don't think I won't be saying, hey, I came on your podcast. Can you kind of come and play with us on Sunday?
You got us.
So,
you got us. At least a guest appearance. You got us.
That's true. All right.
I appreciate you, Fletch.
Cool. Thanks a lot,
Later,
guys.
man.
All right.
Tell you what, the one,
season long. I don't know about that.
Tell you what, the one thing you can always count on him,
energy.
He's gonna bring the energy, and he's gonna tell you, he's gonna be honest with you. He ain't gonna be. He's not gonna say stuff that he just feels like everybody wants to hear. He's gonna let you know.
Feels
always
an awful lot like he's thinking 8 to 9 wins.
Well, it doesn't seem like that. It started that way. God bless you. It started that way.
I know that he kind of talked
and
himself
then he
into some positivity.
He does the Mikey betting thing, where I know it's probably going to be, but the more I look at it, and the more I think the talent's there, they have the ability there, I'm going to convince myself that they're going to get to there.
See,
and
here's the thing that I've come to learn, I guess, if you will, about NFL football. Now, if it does happen, I'm not sure. We'll see, right? But
double-digit point spreads.
Well,
I gave you a stat that proved my
too. But the one thing I've kind of noticed about NFL football is, you watch players play, and it's teams that start hot, they never end that hot, man. Something goes wrong, whether it's injuries, couple losses here, there, something goes wrong. It's too long of a season. The gap of good to bad, it's too close. There's so much that goes on in an NFL season, and you just feel all right, well, those teams that were you looked at the Saints and you had no problem saying, man, I could easily see 12 wins this year, maybe even more, just because of that schedule and how it's laid out and all that stuff. So it's all right, well, they've gotten to this point and they're at 500. man, if they get going, I can see them ripping off. Let's say if they ripped off 5 in a row, right? Like, oh, that could possibly happen. We're still not even still before that last third of the season right there. So you're like, man, I could see this thing get going, and that's not even really stretching it. If it does, I don't know, but I have some optimism when I see teams kind of teeter-totter a little bit. Like, you go and beat a team 34-0 one week, and then the next week you kind of look anemic, right? Yep. So I kind of feel like it's in there. You can play that way. Can you string it together for a long run? And when it doesn't happen early, I kind of feel like, there's got to be a streak in there somewhere.
You'd imagine. And look, the schedule.
You'd hope.
The schedule lines up for that. Always enjoy having Fletcher on. I wanted to have him on early in the week, but I felt like Wednesday was great because it's right before the game, right before Thursday. Give a little buffer to Ask Mikie and Mitch. Interview from Fletcher was brought to you by our friends at Heineken. We've been putting down some Heinekens this year during tailgating. We have a home game this weekend. Then you got an off week. Mm-hmm. Then you're on the road. And you got 3 straight to end the season. 4 straight. No.
3.
Yeah, 3 straight home games, 2 straight SECs. You got Florida, Georgia Southern,
A&M.
and A&M to end the season. So 3 straight home games to end the season.
Florida getting a little bit better.
Florida's scary. Florida's a little scary.
You win that road game, and Heineken might really be flowing those last 3 home games.
Lot of Heineken.
A lot of belief in a lot of Heineken.
Weather being nice. Then you're going to have that, you do what you need to do, and you have the bonus game, which is in Georgia. And you can driving distance. You go put some Heineken in the car. You drive. Heineken's 95 calories, 4% alcohol. Heineken Silver is their version is their light beer. It is very good, very refreshing, very good to have in the mix of your tailgate beer options.
Starting to think about that Tuscaloosa trip.
You're going?
Just getting to that point where it's going to be that important if LSU is able to win.
It's always that important.
I know. And I used to go. I had like a string where I went like 3 straight years. And only LSU.
I got some beer for you when you go.
Absolutely.
Sponsored by Heineken Silver. Should we jump to the Ask Mikie and Mitch segment?
Yes.
I think that'll probably get us back to the football conversation at LSU specifically.
Ask Mikie and Mitch brought to you by
EFCO.
Brought to you by EFCO.
EFCO Development. You haven't said solutions in a minute.
Which one is it?
EFCO Development.
Perfect. I'm all over it. Ask Mikie and Mitch brought to you by EFCO Solutions. First question up is actually baseball. How have the 2 middle infield positions looked? Braswell appears to be having a strong fall so far. Any others standing out? From Arthur Jaramillo on Twitter.
So, Braswell came in. Obviously, defensively, that was never going to be the issue. That's why I brought him in, because they knew they had a veteran guy put at shortstop. Jay also saw a lot from him offensively. I think a lot more potential that he had that he wasn't getting into. And you've seen him he's hit 3 or 4 homers throughout the course of the fall already. So I would imagine, he's obviously going to be the starter. Right now, second base is going to have a little bit of a revolving door. It's a competition. There's some guys out there that are playing well, but I don't think anybody right now has kind of separated themselves as a starter there.
No, I think up the middle, I think at the shortstop spot, like we all know, Jay's an offensive guy. He's an offensive-minded guy. He sees the game a lot from that lens, if you will. So knowing how solid Braswell is up the middle and him bringing him in, it's somewhat of a project in the sense of getting him to where he wants him to be or where he thinks he can be by the time they get to the spring. But I would imagine that is going to be a nice addition to the team there. And like you said, the second base situation is a little bit of a competition, and it's so early in the fall, so early in the calendar year of what is a school year for those guys. Like, that's got a lot more hair on it, and they'll figure that out as they kind of get down the road. Now, honestly, I wouldn't be that surprised if that kind of went a little into the season as well.
So I talked with Jay a little bit today, and I asked him how it was going, and you see what you see on Twitter, and you go watch. You try to get there as much as you can to see some stuff. And he said pitching has been awesome. And I was like, man, because I see numbers. You see some of the stats offensively. Oh, this person did this, hit a home run, but you don't really see a ton of the pitching staff. You see a couple guys, but you don't see everything. He said pitching has been awesome, and he said that's what he was hoping to see right now. He said he's not worried about the offense is going to make itself. He said some of those second-year guys offensively in the lineup are starting to really find their swing and kind of find their groove. So I think they're right where they need to be in the offseason.
And to touch on the pitching part of it is, make no mistake about it. The guy that you saw take the ball for them every Friday or game one of pretty much every series last year, not only was that a one-of-one type of talent, but he also had a one-of-one type of season, right? So I'm not sure you'll see that performance anymore, but from top to bottom, what they have on the staff there and talking to guys there, it is impressive.
Well, if Thatcher just continues to do what he did last year, right? He's then going to be the Friday guy. You know, you'd imagine he's probably going to be a top 10 guy.
Yeah.
If he does that, throws strikes, gets head hitters, does the thing because he has the stuff. So I think they're going to be fine pitching-wise, and I think that's a good thing going into this year when you're going to try to figure out how this offense. Now, look, Tommy White hasn't played this fall. He's not going to play until the spring. He's recovering from the shoulder deal.
Right.
You're not going to know what the lineup really looks like until he's in that lineup. And so, it's a good opportunity for some of these younger guys to get some opportunity offensively. So, we got next.
Next one up. Do you think we see freshman safety Kylan Jackson on Saturday night? Dude looks like a beast from It's Goon on Twitter.
I'd hope. Obviously you'd like to see in some of these games, depending on how the game turns out, you'd like to see some of these young guys in there. All right, you like to see some of the guys that are high recruits to get in there. Like you have the ability to redshirt some of these guys if they don't get in for more than 4 games. So I think this is one of those games where you should be able to see him and some of these other high-level freshmen play and hopefully get it some extended time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're not playing a meat-of-the-schedule SEC team this weekend as well, but this is kind of the part of this season where some of these young guys kind of start to assert themselves, kind of grow a little, kind of start to understand the defense and or the offense and what's kind of being asked of them. And that talent sometimes kind of wins out in these situations and they start to get more playing time. This is a perfect situation, right? In a situation where they're going to play a quote-unquote lesser opponent. We'll see that if he can get out there and how early can he get out there and kind of get into the mix of this thing and kind of see where it goes from there.
Yeah, if you've ever seen Kylan Jackson play, at least in this high school tape, that man absolutely brings the hammer. So if you're looking for more physicality on the defensive end, especially from the safety spot, that's what he does in spades. He plays a little reckless, could get you a couple personal fouls, but he has no regard for human life. Next one up.
My kind of safety.
With the offense in such good rhythm and the defense trending up, how will the next 2 weeks benefit and or hurt this team's momentum going into Tuscaloosa?
Can you say that again?
With the offense in such good rhythm and the defense trending, how will the next 2 weeks benefit and or hurt this team's momentum going into Tuscaloosa? I'd imagine not having to play like a full game against Army, possibly. And then a bye week.
I don't think that helps.
The full game thing, it is what it is, right? Like, you still got to go out there, and the only way you're getting out of this thing is if you get what you need to get done anyway. I think how it helps is it gives them – defensively, it gives them an opportunity to understand, once again, fully what's being asked of them, right? This is – when you play teams that still play the option game right now, it is like playing – if I flip it to basketball, it's like playing the most fundamentally sound team, but they just don't have superstars running around. So, like, they are going to give you the opportunity to beat yourself, to get out of position, to give them yards when they shouldn't get yards. Instead of turning a 2-yard gain in, they'll 6 yard you to death, 4 yard you to death until you don't stop them, right? This is going to give them a chance to be able to play some real disciplined football, right? And so I think that's really good for where they are defensively right now. Offensively, this is the truck is rolling. It's left the station. It's gassed up. It's going right now. Once again, you want to be able to, you want to be able to see him come out. I want to see, honestly, like I really, really, really do. It's very obvious who our 1 and 2 are, and that's not even a question. But I want to see if they can kind of find a third option in there in the receiving game. Maybe Kyron Lacey, maybe Aaron Anderson, to kind of be able to throw the curveball, I guess, if you will, in games, to be able to be someone else who they can kind of rely on, someone who they can find in third downs in situations as they kind of move forward, because I think that's only going to help them. So that's where I think it is right now.
I agree. So defensively, I think that, you have a little momentum, right? Second half of Missouri, a lot better, right? Last game, a lot better. Starting to feel like everybody's got their role. This they're playing a team that's going to be like unlike any other team they're going to face all year. But it gives the defense an opportunity to kind of stay in rhythm, kind of continue to progress forward, build more confidence, do those types of things. So from a defensive standpoint, yeah, I agree with you, Jay. Like, I think this is important for them to continue that momentum forward. The offensive momentum is there, right? The talent's there. It's not that they have momentum or they're surprising anybody. They're doing things that people had expected them to do. And so what I want to see, and I think what's going to benefit for them is like this offense is similar to, a basketball team just kind of just playing games and staying in rhythm, right? You don't want to lose timing. You don't want to lose, like if a hitter in baseball takes 5 days off. That's why you saw in the playoffs some of these 101 teams didn't win and couldn't score runs because they took 5 days off. And yeah, they're still doing work, but you can't simulate a full game. I think that is what you want to see from the offense. Hey, y'all keep doing what you need to do. You have a game to where you can kind of keep your rhythm, and then you have the off week, which you're already prepared for, and then you move into the Alabama game. So, I think that for them it's just about keeping that momentum, keeping them in rhythm, and then defensively it's just building on that momentum.
Next one up from Fonz Farelli. He asked, what's the point total? What's your point number that LSU needs to get before LSU will pull the starters, if there is one?
I think it just depends.
Yeah.
I think it just depends. So, like, if LSU goes in the first half and is up 35-0 at halftime, they're done. Right? Like, I think if they do everything that you need them to do offensively, defensively, all right, you got what you got to do, you pull them out. You're not gonna force them, and I think you're gonna see similar to like what happened with Grambling, where you take them out, and then Nuss gets to play for the third quarter, and then you bring in, the third stringers, and they play the fourth quarter, and then you call it a day. So I don't know if it's a point total. I think it's a differential more than a point total.
I'll say this: the differential is huge. I think the defensive performance will be very, very, very key in what you see as far as for how long the starters stay in this game, because I do think the most important game coming up on your schedule is in 2 weeks, right? But I think if it's 35-0 at halftime, I do think you still see the starters in, especially for the start of the third quarter. I do think if it gets to 42-0, 42-3, 42-7, 42-14 at half, there's a good chance that you don't see the starters in the second half. I've always kind of remember seeing that 30 number as a number that come out in the second half, the starters are still in. I think once you get to that 40-point threshold is kind of a spot where it's starters kind of come out of that thing. So that's kind of what I see. But I don't really know that it's actually predicated on a number total. It's kind of, did you do the job that we asked you to do?
Yeah.
And that usually kind of sits around that 40-ish number or whatever. So that's what I would go with.
Update: Astros up 3-0 in the second inning. They just put a 3 spot on Scherzer in the second.
Any homers?
No, Maldonado had a 2 RBI single, or an RBI single, which is like apparently he hasn't gotten any hits all postseason.
He doesn't swing it very well, but he can manage.
But he can hit. I mean, he can catch. Yeah.
Yep.
That's the older catcher, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
He's like 38 years old.
They call him the machete.
I don't know if y'all know too. Like Dusty Baker was like gung ho on him.
Yeah, no doubt.
Gotta have him. He's my catcher. I don't want to hear anything.
Yeah, because that's what I had heard through the grapevine. When like they were talking about him, and I saw on Twitter that they wanted to make him a coach in the middle of the year because his hitting was so poor. And they're like, no, you need him behind the plate because of how well he managed his staff. I think it was somebody for who'd they play, the Dodgers? Is that who'd they beat in the playoffs? I forgot
The
who.
Rays.
The Rays, and it was somebody that had left the Astros, I believe, and was like, I don't want to give him credit.
Wait, did they beat the Rays, or was it the
Who was the shortstop that played for the Astros that left?
Correa?
It was
Maybe
Correa.
the Twins.
They beat the Twins.
Yeah.
It was Correa that was after they got eliminated. He was given the machete, all of his flowers. He's like, I don't want to have to. I have to say this, but I don't want to because I know I'm gonna hear about it later. And he was like, the way he manages the staff and pitched us backwards, that was like a big key to why we got sent home early. So that's why he's back there.
I mean, that's look. You can catch for a long time.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Next.
ask him no. With Anderson getting some catches and getting back into the game and getting back into game shape, would you use him this weekend to get in some punt returns?
No.
I think the LSU offense is too electric right now to even consider just anything other than catching it and handing it to the official.
I don't even think that has anything to do with that. I personally think it's everything with, look, that ship has sailed for the year.
I think
we're fine there. We're not asking for explosive plays there. Like, I want, and if we want him to be anywhere mentally in it for the rest of the year, why would you risk putting him back out there for it to go bad and you have to pull him again? And then now you got to figure it all out again with him. So it's not even about their offense to me. It's literally just about him. Like, we'll figure that out at a different point.
And I think Clayton's done a great job.
Yeah, he's returned a couple.
He's returned a couple. Look, sometimes like the one that they let roll and picked it up, like savvy move. He saw what was going on. Like, listen, you look at the NFL. There's not many teams in the NFL that put one of their top receivers or players as a returner.
Well, you got to understand.
So, like, you have a specialist position now. I think our guy's doing a good job there.
But you got to understand, too, like, the return game has completely changed. There's no more walls and all of that stuff anymore. So, like, at the end of the year, if you've averaged 10 to 12 to 15 yards a return, you're probably at the top of the country.
What did Danny McCray say? All we were trying to do was steal a first down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, like, that game's changed now. So I know what what especially people our age, what we're so used to seeing, because of the rule changes and what they don't allow you to do anymore, that's not normal to see guys going 40, 50 touchdowns and all of that stuff anymore. So, like, that's not that much of a thing. But I do think just because of who he is and what you've asked him to do and you got him here, it'd be a shame if you put him back out there in that situation and had to pull him again. Mm-hmm. He's getting going. He's starting to get comfortable. He's getting some offensive snaps. Let's just let that roll.
Yep.
I'm with you. All right.
You concur.
I concur.
You concur, doctor.
Sending in the last one up for this baseball question, which I found interesting. After we had some recent leaks of the football field, ask him and I thought they had plans and money to move the bullpens, or did I mishear something?
Wait, say that again?
Plans to move the bullpens for the baseball team.
Well,
I don't know where that's at now, so you got to stump me.
I had a conversation about this last weekend. And
with Jay?
Yes. Huh?
With Jay?
No, not with Jay. They do have plans to move the bullpens.
For what year?
Ain't happening this year.
Oh.
And it's not because they don't have the money, or it's because that Jay doesn't want to miss practice. He doesn't want to take away from the preparation, which makes him a good coach. So I'd imagine if they were going to do it, it's going to be over the summer. Tell you what I heard,
pretty good.
It's going to be tough for visiting bullpens. It's going to be very hard for them to go and throw strikes in the bullpen.
Basically, Jay wants that thing sounding like, I don't know, but it sounds like Jay wants that thing to happen, if it's going to happen, to be planned out, to be as soon as they get the last out that they know they're going to play at LSU on that said season.
Break that ground.
Go ahead and break the ground the next day.
I think they're going to move one of them.
That's a ball, Garrett.
I think they're going to move the home bullpen underneath the right field bleachers, which is awesome. Then they're going to move. They're going to do some stuff with the visiting bullpen that's going to make it, like I said, difficult.
It's going to be in Tiger Stadium. You're going to have to run from there to come all the way back.
And
you don't get a card.
The foul territory is not going to be as quiet.
Ooh, they need to take some of that away. That's been needed to happen.
It's going to be a very, very much
tight quarters.
Offensively, it's going to help the offense.
Yeah.
Because obviously you're not going to have balls that fly out. Now, you can help the other team's offense as well. But I think it's going to be more fun. And, yeah. So you're going to see some updates. It's just not going to happen right now. It's going to happen probably, hopefully, post this season.
All right. Good answer. I didn't know we were going to get anything there. I love that. All right. That's Ask Mikey and Mitch.
That's Ask Mikey and Mitch, brought to you by our friends at AFCO. We already said it. Civil construction company based in Lafayette, Louisiana. Hey, all your needs. Anything you need to do with the ground.
Oh, maybe they can help with the bullpens.
Maybe. You need civil construction. That's
a little dirt.
That's ground. That's a little dirt work.
Push it around, huh?
Push it around. Let's go. Let's get to the Saggies. We're already here.
We're here.
Let's just do it. Mistake of the day is brought to you by our friends at Dozy Place.
We touched on it a little bit. It's this Chargers fan, pseudo Chargers fan. The mistake of the day brought to you by Doze.
Fake Chargers fan.
Fake Chargers fan.
NFL fan. Maybe.
It's thinking they could sneak this. The audacity to think that they could sneak this by any self-respecting conspiracy theorist,
You?
yes, or just anybody with a brain. And just the way that the explanations aren't good, the timing was weird. I've never seen her before.
Well, I mean,
I've
you
watched
haven't
plenty
seen-
of primetime
How many
games.
Chargers fans have you seen?
Exactly. But I've seen the Chargers play before.
That is a
Never
little- that's-
seen her, and then they found her, and it became hold on, I have her name.
Marianne Doe.
Marianne Doe show. And of course, with what Twitter is today, which is what makes this all very possible, people started to dig in a little bit, and very conveniently, she comes on who's the NFL's newest big show that is on ESPN five times a week. Pat McAfee could find her in less than 24 hours to have her on live, where she has a Chargers gear and all of the setup. Then they started asking questions about, and then there's this Vikings
4 kids.
conundrum. Yeah,
Why were her kids on at the game?
there's no kids there. She said she's poor. She's sitting in a suite. And then there's the picture of her at a Vikings game where she said it was her kids' team. That's not the case. It was actually an NFL game. So just a lot to think about.
A lot of holes in the
A lot
story.
of holes with Marianne Lou.
Fishy.
So that on the NFL for thinking they could get by one on us. So good work to everybody out there that did the real work.
Real fact finding.
Yes. Tired of being lied to.
Yeah.
This
fake
day and
news.
age.
Not good.
Yeah.
Search bar pop.
That's a good one. Mistake of the day.
That was
It's a good
crazy.
mistake.
They kept showing her. I was like, this is insane. And how quickly it was like, plant. I was like, oh, this isn't going great. Put her on TV. 4K camera at home. But she's poor. Said she eats ramen noodles
And a sweet.
in a suite. It make a lot of sense.
Well, no.
Allocate your funds a little better.
well,
Maybe take care of your kids.
I like ramen noodles.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, if
I mean, they got whole restaurants built around ramen.
I don't think those are the ones she was talking about. They were talking about the
You know?
I did buy a pack the other day. I mean, I need to. But they're like 67 cents.
Cheap.
Like, cheap.
A lot of sodium.
Yeah, you got to do half a pack.
A lot of sodium in there.
All the sodium.
Yeah. You're
But you
got
really
sausage
can't.
fingers. They're just
Yeah.
full up.
Oh, who was?
Nice and swollen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the is it the King or whatever in Europe? The guy that has the swollen, massive fingers.
Oh,
I thought you meant the Burger King.
Yeah,
King.
yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know.
No.
Right?
Yeah, the guy in
King,
London. Prince, I don't know who
Prince
is.
something.
Yeah, but he's got some hamburglar hands.
I don't know who it is. Yep.
A lot of ramen.
A lot of ramen.
A lot of spotted dick. Which is a delicacy over there.
Jesus.
Yo.
Curtain call. Curtain calls are brought to you by our friends at Assured Partners.
And?
Me.
Okay.
What we got, boys?
I'll lead it.
Oh,
You know, I like to get off the beaten path a little bit, kind of bring up something that hadn't been
yeah.
talked about. I'm going to give this one to Nolan Arenado.
Love that.
Reason being, nope. 10 years straight of winning a Gold Glove, which I don't know if anybody understands. That is an
I'm trying to
absolute.
think. Do they have a list of people who've done that? I don't know.
I don't know if they do, and
I
if
imagine
they
it's
and if
like
they
Omar
do, I haven't
Vizquel.
seen it, but I'm pretty sure it's a short list.
Yep, for sure.
10 years of being the Gold Glove winner. This is his first year not being a finalist.
Oh, he wasn't
So
a finalist this
to
year.
the end of the streak, which I'm not trying to say that means the end of an era or the career is over or whatever, but the streak is what it is or what it was, and it's finally over, if you will. So I can kind of give a curtain call of that because that
That's
man
tough.
has had a
Who took it from
special
him?
career. I don't know. Has it even been announced?
They
yet?
haven't
He's not
announced
a
the winner.
finalist this year.
Oh.
After you won it for 10 years straight.
they said Riley season. I don't know who that is, but
Austin?
Austin Riley for the Braves.
But I don't think he ever seen like I'm getting a feeling that Lloyd's like seen like 2 Major League Baseball games this
He
year.
doesn't like baseball.
He literally just said, "I don't know who that is."
He doesn't like baseball.
and I've been watching them play.
He doesn't like baseball. Lloyd doesn't like baseball.
You just heard Jack yell about him all year. You don't know who he is.
He made the biggest play of the whole series at the time.
And they lost
On the relay.
Oh yeah, he's the guy that was paying
Third
too much
baseman.
attention. Yeah,
Yeah, that guy.
that guy. Good for him. Man, that's a
He also
gold.
hit
That,
the home run.
that was a Gold Glove worthy play.
Yeah, it was.
I could see why people would think that.
What you got for curtain call?
My curtain call, shout out to friends of the F-Code development family at one point, but he has left and now is pursuing dreams, aspirations as an amateur golfer. He won the USGA 4 ball earned a spot to play in the U.S. Amateur Floorball, and so he will be going to Cricket Club, up in Philadelphia in May.
And
So
who's his caddy?
I'll be out there with him.
You'll be his caddy. Can you imagine that?
Get to go play.
How's that?
He beat out nearly 5,000 people around the world to get a spot in the USGA Floorball.
Well, you know what though? Like, I hope he wins, and I hope you'll have a really good time doing it. You know when that time frame is, though, right?
May.
End of May.
End of May.
You know what happens at the end of May?
June's right after that.
Yeah. The SC tournament for baseball.
Yeah.
We had such a good time last year.
We did. Jack's birthday.
Jack's birthday. It seems like you'll be
Got to run it back.
Seems like you'll be missing that one though.
May 25th to the 29th. I'll be back.
We won't be. We'll let you know how it is.
Yep.
I'll do
It's a good one though. I hope best of luck to you.
Best of luck to y'all.
FaceTime.
Appreciate you. That was a long time from now, so we got a lot of time to prep.
We do. What if LSU just, maybe they get a bye in the SEC tournament, don't even have to show up?
Well, that'd be the weekend, so. It's okay.
In a pickle.
We'll make sure to go around when you go to the tournament.
Yeah. All right. My current call is to our friend, LSU alum, Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola is a free agent at the end of the year. He's been with the Phillies his entire career. Has had a great career with the Phillies. They were in the World Series last year. Does not have a World Series championship yet. He had an up and down season. If you see at the bottom of the screen right now in these stats, he has a 3.25 career ERA in the postseason, which pays you a lot of money in free agency.
Yes,
and then you have his postseason stats this year. Going into free agency as a 31-year-old with a track record of multiple All-Star games, with a track record of knowing you're going to get out there and he's a workhorse, he's going to throw 200 innings. And now you have his postseason career, which he's having his best postseason of his career. He has 3 starts. He's 3-0. He has a .96 ERA. He's thrown 18 innings and has struck out 19 guys.
How many does he walk?
2. Yeah. So that's 1 walk per 9. Is what he's doing.
Not many.
He's striking out 1. No, 1 walk per 9. He's striking out 1 per inning, and he's giving up 0 home runs in a era where home runs are really prevalent. So I want to give a curtain call to our friend, Aaron Nola, and curtain call to his bank account that he's about to get.
This probably has a lot to do with the tickets he got me earlier this year. So
might have to get some more. Keep that train rolling.
That's it. That's all we got for today. That's all we got, folks. We appreciate the love and support. Enjoy the Astros game. I know there's a bunch of Astros fans out here in Baton Rouge. Astros trying to keep this series alive and give them an opportunity to make this comeback. They are winning 3-0. Game 3 right now in Dallas. And enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. We appreciate the love and support. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Go Tigers.
If you can't watch us, anywhere you get your pods, go Tigers.
Friday.
We'll see you again Friday live from studio from 1 to 3 p.m. 1 to 3-ish p.m.
Yeah. See if we can get Coons back on.
Get him on.
He got an appropriate amount of time to grieve for his
and
Braves.
his family left, and so we're good. We'll have some guests on. We'll talk football, talk Friday, good weather, a lot of energy.
Tailgating again?
You know how it goes. Yeah, maybe a little later this time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those days. It's, take our time. I do have to be out there, though. So,
Man was on the phone.
See you on Friday.
Where are you?
Peace.
Hurry. We're trying to be nice.
Peace.
Goodbye. Shout out to you. Congratulations.